Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another round of Super Rugby Pacific. In this game, the Waratahs taking on the Hurricanes in what will be a very entertaining game. Currently, the way that the table sits, it's heating up as we get closer to the end of the comp. Of course, we're only about halfway through, but the finals will be here extremely soon. Looking at where the Hurricanes sit, they are just outside of that top six, which means they do need a win here, get back in the right direction. But a big win here for the Waratahs could put them up to second. If not, if they were able to get an absolutely huge win, they actually do have potential of going top of the table. But of course, for that to happen, they would have to win this game by a hefty margin, about that 50 points. So if that happens, Canes probably haven't shown up. But looking through at the way that these sides do look, that's the Western Force. That seems awfully wrong. In fact, I think that first one might have been slightly wrong as well, but we have got a late change. I do see Asafo Aumua is making his way into the starting lineup for the Hurricanes, so not exactly what they want just before kickoff, as I believe it was supposed to be Zach Gallagher starting in as the man there. But what we will do now is we will go here, and we will go here, and with a little bit of luck, these will be the players that we want to see. If this one pops up, would be terrific. There we go. Boom. That's the right lineup. Xavier Numia, Asafo Aumua, and Tyrell Lomax as the front row. Caleb Delaney and now Isaiah Walker-Leawiri slotting in at 5 with Braden Yossi, Duplessis Karefi, and Peter Lakai as the loose forward trio. Cam Roigard and then Riley Hohepa. They will be the 9-10 combo. Peter Umaga Jensen and Balin Sullivan in the midfield. Kini Naholo, Natunani Punevai out on the right, and Ruben Love at number 15 for the Waratahs. They have got once again a strong lineup here. Angus Bell, Kevin, and also Daniela Tupou in the front row. Amata Siro alongside Grant in the locks with Leota, Gamble, and Gleeson in their loose forward trio. Teddy Wilson alongside Lawson Creighton, Joey Walton, and Suali'i will make his return for the Waratahs after about a month away. Is now back in the starting side. Saunders, Darby Lancaster, and Max Jorgensen at number 15. So, those are the starting lineups, ladies and gents. Go the Hurricanes, says Matthew. Kia ora, Hamish, hi everyone, says Matthew there too. Go the Waratahs, says Mr. Jack. We have seen there 15 kilometres of wind and about 16 degrees Celsius. So, actually a really nice evening by the looks of it. We have got there, I've been loving your Rugby 25 career mode with your mate with the Crusaders. Rugby 25 career mode, that last video with the We Love Kids Happy in Tears, says Zach. Yeah, you never know what you're going to get from George in a recording, but yeah, we couldn't stop laughing at that. The thing that you won't know is I probably cut out an extra maybe 15 or 20 seconds of us just laughing because I tried to shorten it a little bit, and even with it shortened, was relatively long. Looking at the Waratahs and the Hurricanes benches here, it is Jacob Devery at number 16. Of course, mentioning him, we've got to talk about Asafo Aumua a little bit. We kind of brushed over it, but he is back in the starting lineup here for the Canes with Paul Rirakati Stones and Tavira Mafaleo as the other forward replacements. And then also Brad Shields there as the number 20. Finian Norfo, Cade Banks. It's a strong bench for the Canes when they do choose to use it for the Waratahs. There is no Andrew Callaway at all for this matchup, but they have got Tane Edmed alongside Lolokai Fakiti to make his way off the bench late. They are just talking about Harry Godfrey being away as well as the best part. Clip that, it was so funny, says Zach. And Chew Mitch says, Chris, welcome in, mate. Hope you're doing extremely well. Angus Bell and Daniela Tupou leading from the front row, says Blues Nate. And Hurricanes Forever Sports, or Forever Super Rugby Bridesmaids, says Brian. I assume that's like not a good thing, right? I assume you're trying to say that. I don't actually know what you're trying to say, to be fair, but certainly an entertaining side to watch, the Canes, and they have got a stacked lineup for this contest, and the glitches with that to the moon pass that was thrown to the sky it was good as well. Real Love should be at 10, says D3. So in that case, who would you go with as your number 15 in that lineup? Maybe, I mean, I'm looking through at the starting lineup. I don't think you go with anyone else in that 15 jersey. Cade Banks actually could play fullback perhaps, but they are just going to be having a moment's silence before the match. I am just about to sneeze, which certainly will not be silent, so I will quickly mute myself one moment. And we are good. They always get close to winning the Super Rugby, but fall short. Says Brian. So is that like a bridesmaid's always close to getting married, but she doesn't get married, I guess? An evening, Hamish and everyone. Go the Canes, all the best to Riley Hohepa at number 10. Says John. I mean, he's been doing pretty decently in our Hurricanes career mode as our number 10, so hopefully he's able to do the same here for the Canes in the real world. But I think that Joseph Suali'i will certainly be one that's player to keep an eye on for this match, bless you, says Chris. And I want the Waratahs to win, says Chris. Yeah, it will be interesting because, like, the thing is, this Tars side are sitting very high on the table, maybe compared to where some people felt that they would be, but at the same time, they haven't played too many of those top sides around them, with the exception of the Aussie teams. So I do think we are going to get to see maybe a little bit of a decline in the Waratahs in the overall standings, but then they might end up shooting back up near the end of the comp, and that's a little bit of the, I guess, unpredictability of this competition is, you know, we're sitting here, they could drop a little bit, you know, by the end of this round. If the Brumbies get themselves the win over the Highlanders, that game's actually taking place just around the corner. See the Waratahs sitting closer to that number 5 or 6. But if they get the win here, like I said, they can sit top of the table at the end of this round. And they've got more than enough capabilities of being able to cause the upset here. Hurricanes will win well, says Bhavani. And rest easy Grizz up there with the best, says Blues Nate. Of course, that was who the moments of silence were for. Damon Murphy is going to be the referee in charge of this one at Sky Stadium. I want the Hurricanes to win, says Brian. Taniela Tupou, of course, a dangerous ball runner when he gets it in his grasp. Angus Bell, we haven't seen as much of his running as we have in some of the past seasons, so I honestly think that today could be the day we see a lot of him. In fact, I'm going to say it's going to be a good day for the props. Don't know why I think that, but I think 2 out of the 4 starting props are going to score tries. Overall, Hurricane Supporter says Death. For Brian's choice. But now the Tars, they'll be kicking this one off from left to right, and we are underway for another round of Super Rugby. Now, I should mention only 4 games taking place this weekend. Actually, a collision straight away there between Duplessis Karefi and one of the Tars forwards. The Hurricanes have now got the possession as Iwaka Leawiri. He's actually decided to go with the headgear today. Wonder whether or not that is to do with maybe well, I don't think it would have anything to do with his handling errors. Maybe his breakdown work. He's trying to get in there a bit quicker. Roy Guard kicks that one downfield, and it does go into touch on the full. Let me guess, Blues wrong, says Brian. What's your thoughts about the enclosed Eden Park 2.1? I honestly haven't heard too much about it. I know that there's a couple stadiums soon that are getting kind of modified a little bit. Optus Stadium being one, or the WACA, I should say. But yeah, that's way in the future. Probably after they do anything to Eden Park. There's going to be a knock on there from the Waratahs. Now nice run for from Peter Umaga Jensen. The Hurricanes sitting 40 metres out from the line. Joey Walton tried to go for the turnover in the breakdown. Unsuccessful in the venture. Is there anyone who knows someone streaming the game Waratahs versus Hurricanes, says Justina? Unfortunately, the only one that I know is Sky Sport. The TAB, I thought, might have done it, but they sadly haven't. If you got yourself a VPN, though, you could set yourself to Australia and then watch the Stan Sport free trial. That would be your best bet in terms of a free option, but unfortunately, you would have to already have the VPN. That one's going to be kicked into touch. And the Brumbies, best Australian team. And Law is a community coach, says Neil in there. But Joey Walton just getting them right into the position on the field that they want to be. It's going to be overthrown, but nicely taken by Asafo Aumua off the back of the line out. It is fantastic to see that man back, although he's just given away a penalty for getting back to his feet and running again when he was held. So this could be an easy 3 points here if they want it, the Waratahs. So this will now be the big decision. Do they want to go with the safe 3 or the risky try attempt? And that's going to answer that. They will go for the corner. The Waratahs deciding that they want to go aggressive here. I want the Hurricanes to win. can only be a Kiwi team. And Hurricanes are struggling, says Mr. Jack. I wouldn't say they're so much as struggling. They've just, they've been a bit unlucky in a couple of their games. And also, they've had some moments where they haven't looked the smoothest. But I do think they're only one big win away from, once again, being title contenders. Langi Gleeson breaks away. Waratahs here in possession. Du Plessis Krefi trying to get the turnover, but Charlie Gamble shuts him down. Angus Bell driven backwards. The Tars on attack with the Matosero. Looking left. It's going to be a good test for this Hurricanes defence early on. Big shot on Creighton. The one everyone hates, says Brian. A nice take from Grant. Little pop pass up from Taniela Tupou. Goes to Langi Gleeson again. Now Du Plessis Krefi. And the try is scored by Lawson Creighton. What I was going to say is Krefi has to make the tackle, but the offload then came. And the Tars are on the board first. Hey, what's up, everyone? Another full weekend of sport, says Azander. Yeah, extremely full weekend. We've got about 5.5 hours of talking just tonight, and that's not including the 2 upcoming days of Super Rugby and the URC2. Sevens taking place all throughout. In fact, between these 2 Super Rugby games, we're also going to be covering a match of the Sevens, Fiji versus Ireland. So I don't think I'm going to have much of a voice by the end of the weekend. That's probably the best prediction I can give of the weekend too. Lawson Creighton, opportunity to convert his own try. There's the exact start that they would have been after. That is now going to make the score after 4 minutes, 7-0 in favour of the Waratahs. It sounds like South African teams with Du Plessis in there. And Hurricanes need to start defending, says Matthew. And that's the thing, they just weren't anticipating that offload. Got caught by a few quick phases from the Waratahs. And then now getting up 7-0. Plus, like they've just mentioned, they went for the 7 rather than the 3, which took a lot of confidence to do this early on in the contest. Waratahs in position, 22 metres out from their own line, going back across. It's going to be Haven. Going across to Jorgensen. And back by Peter Lakai, who tried to go for a bit of a counter ruck, but then lost his footing. Angus Bell. Tackled low by Xavier Numia. And Tupou pops the ball up. Looks like they're going for quite a running-orientated start to this match, Charlie Gamble and the Tars, even though they are inside of their own 22. Seems like they're willing to take that risk. Teddy Wilson gives it off to Julian Heaven. Now back into the pocket, Lawson Creighton does kick it into touch. Hurricanes need to start defending, and Kane's done really well defending in their last game. Told off 20-plus phases to take the win, says Def Reaper. Yeah, like they've had some really strong moments throughout this season, the Canes. I do think having Asafo Aumua back in the hooker department will definitely help them too. Now nicely thrown in. Peter Lakai goes off to Roigard. Now Du Plessis Krefi to Kini Naholo. Tackled in the middle of the field. Roigard again goes back across to the right. Peter Lakai skip past there. Love gets it out. Waitunatuna Punivai. It's about a 5-on-1, and he's had the ball stripped cold right out of his grasp, but the foot was in touch for the Tars player. It means that the Hurricanes have got themselves a line out. Probably a little bit of a lucky break there for the Hurricanes to have that line out throw. Natunani Punivai definitely will want to have a little bit more ball security from now on, I would think. After charging down the wing now, it would have also been a really tough day once he hit the ground, but it was Joseph Suali'i who got in there and ripped the ball out clean as a whistle. Good morning, Hamish and Kiwi lads. Looking wonderful again, says Ruth. Welcome in, Ruth. You are excited for the amount of rugby that is going to be on this weekend. Ball thrown in nicely, taken by Braden Yossi. Now Hurricanes, they will start their rolling maul. Amato Cero, always really strong when it comes to trying to get in there and get that steal. Riley Hohep after Natunani Punivai out wide to Naholo. And he will score it. The assist goes to Ruben Love. A line out, we're on the field. And they're on half. No, they were 10 metres out from the line. And now they have managed to score it. Kini Naholo brilliantly. Well, all he had to do was run it in. It was really that backline movement that initiated it. We have got there, try, says David the Mod. And try time for the Hurricanes, says Matthew, but Natonani Punivai, he gets the offload. Went out to Love. Now the Canes, they are back in it. Just really nicely timed. Riley Hohepa also has a big role to play. Ruben is a star player, to be honest. Says Death, yeah, he's an extremely handy guy to have. There is always that concern around injury, but I do think the longer that he can stay injury-free, the better that kind of reputation will get. Because there are a lot of people who wanted to see him at least get a chance for the ABs last year, and he was very close up until those little injuries started coming in. I think it was the knee near the end of Super Rugby, near the end of the Bunnings NPC. That kick is missed for Riley Hoepa. Is Roigard playing? He is indeed. Starting 9 this match for the Canes. I predict score to win almost 30 plus points. Says Jack. To win almost... Wait, so the Hurricanes to win by 30, is it? Or just both teams to get their 30 points? Because I know that the Canes came in as quite heavy favourites. Nicely taken by Caleb Delaney. Now Roigard. We're going to roll this ball back. Ouch, Waratahs are tough Aussie Kangaroos. Hurricanes need to do their basics well, says Ruth. Kicked him behind, getting a holo. Chasing after this one. Doesn't get a huge amount of pace. And doesn't really get that close to it. A nice run from Angus Bell. On the halfway line, Taniela Tupou, Tongan Thor with the pick and go. Ball bounces out the back. Bell's under pressure again here. Who are the two winners going to be today, you think? Says PSG. Well, this game already has stayed pretty competitive for the early stages, but I do still think that the Hurricanes should be able to get the job done. The Highlanders are a bit of an interesting one because the Brumbies are the safe bet, but the Highlanders could be the underdog that get the win this weekend. Now kicked high from Teddy Wilson. G'day Hamish, g'day all. Rest in peace to the great Grizz Wiley. Says David the Mod. They did have the moment's silence for him before the match. That man's a mile offside there, Julian Heaven. Now once again, Roigard. Looks like he's going to have to kick this one downfield. Cape Town warm and sunny, says Ruth. And our man, Arwen Cam Roigard suffered a knee injury last season. I was genuinely devastated. Yeah, the worst thing was it was a really weird injury, wasn't it? Because he was trying to dodge the ref, and then the knee just absolutely just went. Or the lead gave out, and unfortunately for him, missed a lot of the season. Didn't get to play in the Rugby Championship. Oh, nice run from Max Jorgensen. 40 metres out. Wilson. Jorgensen's hurt himself badly, by the way. The way that he went down, he kind of let out a bit of a scream. That's going to be knocked on by Taniela Tupou. Watching both sevens in this game, but they are going back for the original penalty. But he is in a bad way here, Jorgensen. Oh, that looks like either ankle or Achilles or something in the lower leg region. And he's slamming the ground. He is really angry about it. I assume that is because he knows that he's done something relatively serious. It's going to be kicked into touch by Lawson Creighton. Alakai Foketi might have to make his way out there earlier than anticipated, though. Oh. Yeah, I think that ankle just got crushed underneath the tackle of Braden Yossi. Straight away, it just did not look good. Who? It is Max Jorgensen, the number 15. He's already scored 5 tries throughout his career in his 20 matches. Looks like he dropped the F-bomb, and he probably is justified too if he's got a very sore ankle. Nice run forward from Langy Gleeson. Tars looking to continue playing here, even though they only have the 14. Now Angus Bell pops the ball up. This is an interesting one that they had to play on, or at least continue going. Oh, Langy Gleeson, bit of a miscommunication there. That was almost a knock-on from Taniela Tupou. Yeah, I would have thought if they were going to make that sub, they would have at least been allowed to do so. But maybe he's going to continue. He's still down, though. It doesn't look too good for Max Jorgensen. He's still lying on the pitch. I don't understand this, because now the Waratahs are going to be at a man disadvantage if the Hurricanes can get the turnover, which Duplessis Karifi is planning to do and does so. So now what happens? I assume the Hurricanes are just going to play on as if that didn't happen. We have our level rugby games with Hamish Live Commentary. Says Matthew. Well, we have got plenty of them throughout this weekend. Just today, we have got the Ireland versus Fiji match that has taken place in the middle of the two Super Rugby matches. And then also Brumbies versus Highlanders, followed by Blitzboks versus Australia. Right, the change has now been made. Max Jorgensen will make his way off for Lalakai Foketi. I don't know why they couldn't do that while they had the penalty. Unless it was the ref trying to speed it up. Nice run from Pitu Mange. Jensen knocked on from Natunani Punivai though. It's now going to be the scrum feed. They're just mentioning there, with that injury, it means that Joseph Suali'i is slotting into fullback now for the Waratahs. It's Peter Larkai on. He is indeed playing number 8 for this matchup. I don't mean the defence type taps too, says Drape. And we have got the all be with you all soon. Chicken parma for dinner, says Blues Nate. Does sound all right. Now there's another injury. This is Amato Cero. Damon Murphy doesn't look happy about it, because they do have to try and strap him up quickly by the looks of it. Referee looks at his watch, because he is a part of the scrum. It means that they do have to continue. Next try will be Peter. I manifest it, says Death Reaper there. Okay, well, I'm going to go Braden Yossi. So I'll go with a different man in that loose forward trio. Who's got Duplessis Karefi? I guess he's the only other man in that Hurricanes trio. We have got there, let's go the Canes, says Judah. And one try each in the first 10 minutes. That's what they've just shown there. We're already 15 minutes through this match now, though. And Daisy like Hamish with extra mayonnaise, says Ruth. Who goes to score the third try before the half, says Mr. Jack. I do think that, well, this is a very good opportunity for the Waratahs, but if they don't score now, I do think that the Hurricanes will be the next team to score. Their backlines look quite dangerous when they can shift it. Now Teddy Wilson going off to, first of all, looked like he was going to be going right, but instead switches left to Joey Walton. Pick and go from Wilson to Amato Cero, who is now all strapped back up. Almost a steal forward, Duplessis Krifi. The ball bounces out the back. Hurricanes straight on the ball there. And they do get the penalty. I think Hamish would taste like old Noman spies from the 80s, says Rape. And the Tahs seem to be playing with a lot of confidence, says David the Modern. And I think that's, I guess, pivotal for like the way that they're going this season. You know, they've gone into games with a lot of confidence. So Karifi might have had a little bit of a stinger to his shoulder. He's going to be all right. But yeah, like not many sides up against the Kiwi team go for the corner within a few minutes. But that is exactly what the Waratahs decided. 16 and a half minutes. And I think that clock might be slightly wrong just because it was still going while the referee did have time off. Hurricanes line out at the moment is the 7th most accurate of the competition, so it's actually closer to being the most inaccurate. If you look at it that way, come on the Canes. Says Death Reaper now short side, Cam Roygard. Tackle 22 metres out from the line, Braden Yossi with a pick and go. Peter Larkai now does the same, or he is met by Amata Cero. Off to the right, Xavier Numia starts driving his legs. Langy Gleeson looking for the steal. Oh, he almost had it. And in fact, he does. He's managed to get the clean turnover, at least as clean as it could have been. Now passing to the left-hand side. It is Archie Sanders. That one's going to be kicked downfield, and it's Saunders, in fact, I should say, taken back. Oh, it is. Taken back by Joey Walton. 5 metres scrum now for the Hurricanes. Joey Walton not happy about it, but this is now the prime position for Peter Lakai. In fact, it doesn't get much better for a number 8 in terms of a position of being able to score a try than where they are on the field. Which part of Hemi would you want first, Carter? And kia ora, Spider Mick Bro, how you doing today? And those Aussies are blown away opposition, or have blown away opposition lately. So they've said there the foot was in play. Pack weights 918 kgs for the Waratahs compared to the 900 of the Hurricanes. Yeah, perfect position. Oh, no. We're going to have ourselves a scrum reset here. Too much instability. Taniela Tupou with a big smile on his face. He does love a scrum. You might get quite a few of them throughout this match. Hi, Matthew. See Spider Mick there. Asafo Aumua back for his, what you would call bread and butter in terms of that set piece and just being able to run the ball. I called it. Peter for the next try says, yeah, like I said, they're in the perfect position for him to be able to do so if they decide to use him rather than going with that back line. And now ball is fed in by Cam Roigard. It's a big push and the ball is there for Roigard now. Sniping run. Only a couple metres out from the try line. Peter Lakai, pick and go. Very close. He's doing the bit of a crab walk there. Braden Yossi. Is he over? No, just half a smidgen short of the try line. There's going to be the advantage. Roigard. Looks like he's going to pop it up to Numia. No, he ducks out of the way. Going out wide to Kenny Naholo. Again, he will score it. We were both very close to getting it right though, Def Reaper. But Kenny Naholo, again, does get the try for the Canes. And that is now 2 tries. That time he had to do a little tiny bit more work, but he was that close to the try line that it would have been, I think, almost harder for him not to score it from the position on the park. A really nice duck out of the way for Xavier Numia. He did want to try and go with the pick and go himself and double for Naholo. Says Matthew, yeah, he's just having a field day at the moment out on the wing. It's exactly what you want as a winger. Like, yes, you love to run over the top of people, but at the same time, if you're out there and there's no one around you and you can just run it in for fun, you know, it does look very good on the stats department. Riley Hoihepa only has 10 seconds to try and line up this kick. He's sitting 0 from 1 at the moment. That 10 seconds must almost be up. Riley Hoihepa again misses away to the side. He seems to not quite be reading the right to left curl that he is getting currently. And Peter Lakai, Roigard, they'll get through, says Ruth. But now, possession stats, it's 59% in favour of the Waratahs. Territory also in their favour, and they've had more metres made. But on the score sheet, Hurricanes are leading. Victor Humunga Jensen, oh, that might have been a take out of Darby Lancaster. He's talking to the touch judge. He can't quite believe that he didn't get the penalty for it. Still on game, Waratahs. And yeah, still plenty of time. I mean, 60 seconds remaining. 60 minutes remaining. Cam Roigard almost charged down by Amato Cero. So Suali'i nicely taken under the high ball. Hasn't really had a lot of the ball in hand. He's done some decent things defensively. Lawson Creighton goes across to Darby Lancaster, who's a long way off his wing. Out to the left. Be Grant. Almost counter ruck from Isaiah Walker, Leo Wiri. Looks like it was almost successful there. In fact, the Hurricanes, they have managed to get the scrum for it. RF is a threat to any team, says Spider Mick. Oh, Lawson Creighton has to go off the field for an HIA here. That's the last thing that they would have wanted. He did score the opening try of the contest. Yeah, it was Isaiah Walker, Leo Wiri. Got in there just to try and... You see there, Braden Yossi fired up as well. Tane Edmed making his way onto the field. And it's going to be for Lawson Creighton, who already looks like he's got a little bit of a shiner on his left eye. So they've just said there that it was from after that first try. What does HIA stand for? Head Injury Assessment. So anytime you hear HIA, that's what it is referring to. Pretty much doing a test to see if you're concussed or not. And can continue in the match. Once again, scrum's looking like they're going to be a little bit shaky. Just in the early stages of this contest. Two big front rows. Had like on 90 peeps watching. I got to do 10 likes said. Says Drape. Anyone who hasn't already, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We have got plenty more Super Rugby coming up this weekend, as well as the Sevens and the URC. Going to be a big push. Roigard now going off to the left-hand side. Righty Hohepa gets a pass away to Balin Sullivan, 40 metres out. Kanina Holo, pick and go, and he's got a bit more space to be able to work with. Tries the offload of Braden Yossi, but it was just a bit too low. He wasn't able to regather it. Back to the left-hand side here. Tass, they've got the position once more. Langy Gleeson tackled by Duplessis Karefi. Always put in some massive numbers when it comes to his work rate. Awkward kick for Kanina Holo. Does also manage to win it alongside Darby Lancaster, but Lancaster's the one. Pops out with the ball in hand. Edmed goes across now to the left. Walton, Lalakai Fuketi, Sualii, lined up by Balin Sullivan. Takes him down early. Been some big hits already throughout the early stages of the contest. Back to the right too. Tane Edmed, little chip attempted in behind. Peter Lakai chasing after this one, but it bounces up for Roigard, who offloads it to Natunane Punevai. Head injury assessment, like some of us need after Disco Night Saturday. Says Roof now, Asafo Aumua. Big charging run. Which deserves all the likes. Says Matthew. And Sullivan tackling like a good centre should. Says Glenn. Kick downfield from Roigard. Oh, and it's the drop ball for Archie Saunders. That'll really frustrate, I should say, the Waratahs. Last thing that they would have wanted there was the drop ball. In that position on the field. One moment, we will go like that. And like that as well. We do see that the Hurricanes are still favourites. You think more players will wear headgear, says Jude. Although headgear doesn't necessarily stop concussions. It more so stops your ears getting all cauliflowered and whatnot. And yes, it's a little bit of padding on the skull, but like the speed that players hit each other at nowadays, you know, it doesn't make a huge amount of difference. So, yeah, it's more so just to protect your ears from getting ripped off. And also, you know, it adds a little bit of a pad for you to land on, but not a huge amount. I've seen quite a few of the Hurricanes actually wearing the headgear today. Zaya Walker, Leo Wiri, Braden Yossi, as well as Caleb Delaney. Like 5 concussions and shorten your life by years. Exactly right, yep. And the sad reality is even one concussion can end a life. So, you know, you're in that predicament of it is a risk being out there on the field, but these players all have chosen to play and sometimes don't get enough, I guess, recognition for the risks involved. Tell you what, my voice is already going today. That's not good, is it? But that's going to be a nice kick downfield from Teddy Wilson. Those NFL players and their helmet, says Len. I got one once playing rugby in high school at 16 years old, says Judah. And we have got there, one of my ex-boys friends back in 2000 was Chick. And a walrus mustache and goatee. Hamish looks similar. There you go. Roigard off to the right-hand side. Delaney goes across to Natunani Punivai. Now sitting 40 metres out from the line. Quick hands. Asafo Aumua. Tackle low. Oh, Bell's in that breakdown, but he just didn't. Oh, he did get the ball. I was going to say he didn't quite have his hands on it, but must have just about managed to steal it. And that is going to be now the penalty going the way of the Waratahs. Are we over there too much weeds? Cause head injury, says Spider Mick. Angus Bell. I mentioned about how we haven't seen a huge amount of his ball running. Just tuned in what's happening. So we're seeing 2 tries for Kini Naholo. We saw the early try for the Waratahs. But overall, both of these sides seem very aggressive in the way that they're playing. There's been some big hits already. And it looks like it's going to be a fast-paced game. The one player, Aaron Hernandez. So many concussions playing American football. His brain scan looked like only half his brain was there. Says Judah. And we have got their common people score. And we have got their Ruth. I thought you're single, says Spider-Mix. She did say her ex-boyfriend, Spider-Mix. So normally that would mean that she's not with them anymore. That's not. It's not enough weed that causes head injuries, says Matthew. Good kick downfield from Natunani Punivai. Patience for the Waratahs, maybe payday, says Mr. Jack. Now thrown in by Julian Heaven. Well taken by Ben Grant and met early by Isaiah Walker-Leawiri, but I believe he was offside. Man is an absolute penalty magnet, and I don't think there's many people in the comp who have given away more penalties at this point in time than Isaiah Walker-Leawiri. And come on the Canes, you've got to keep that momentum going, says David the Mod. The penalties conceded. We've seen 3 of the last 5 going against the Hurricanes. Don't hear me with some very heavy strapping on that right knee. So Lawson Creighton is not back as of yet. 25 metres out from the line now. This is going to be the line out. The Waratahs are going to score again before the halftime break. Still another 10 minutes or so to work with. Historically, head injuries in rugby have been virtually a non-issue. Neck injuries, on the other hand, are a much bigger issue at many rugby levels, says Robert. I think it's also just because, like, in a way, rugby is still a slightly newer sport, if that makes sense. Like, yes, it's been around for a little while, but compared to some of those sports from overseas, like, rugby is quite a young sport. So it's only really now and over the next few years that we're going to see more players suffer those, like, consequences. Like, you see a few of those guys are around 40 years old, and there's actually been lawsuits against World Rugby in regards of, like, player safety, which is why, like, as strict as they are about the head knocks and everything like that, it is just to avoid getting sued later down the line. Oh, you have to get there, it's raining cats and donkeys. What's the score in that game, says Brian? Is England and Kenya still on, says Brian? We'll have a quick look for you. I know Kenya got themselves a big win over the Spanish in their opening contest, so that was a pretty drastic one. New sport, isn't it like 2000 or 200 years old now? Yeah, I probably should have clarified, like, in terms of the professional era of said sport. I think it's about 30 or so. And we have got there a new sport, professional era of sport. 7-7 at the moment between Great Britain and Kenya. Now, scrum feed. We've had quite a few of them already throughout the early stages of this matchup. We'll go like that, and we will go like that. There we go. Disco is dead. Add fried bread, says Blues Nate. And I was a dancing marathon queen. One moment, we'll go like this. Professional. Yeah, see, like, professional American football since 1920. In the professional era. I think basketball was probably around that same stage. It was 1898, whereas rugby union, I think it was 95-ish? Yeah, 1995 is when rugby became a professional sport. Now going off to the left-hand side, Charlie Gamble. Sitting 22 metres out from the line at the moment here. Braden Yossi trying to sneak his way into that breakdown. I was expecting this match to be higher scoring, but I know that Hurricanes tend to have high scoring second half, says Brian. In fact, the Tars are a relatively high scoring second half side too. What about Henry in American football? It's horrendous, says David the Mod. As Geordie Barrett still away, says Jeff Reaper. He is. He's been playing for Leinster and actually will be playing for them more than likely in about 28 hours time. In fact, it might be a little bit longer than that. About 30 hours when he does go head to head with the Sharks. Football is older because Webb Ellis picked the ball up, didn't he? Says Glenn Woods. Yep, that is the story. Suali'i now sitting 25 metres out. And when did football become professional? It was 1892 is when football started up. I don't know how this works. How long is each half? 40 minutes is how long it is. Which sport is older than rugby? Not soccer, not cricket, not American football, Aussie rules, but the professional eras of those sports are indeed. But now it's going to be a massive turnover for the Hurricanes. So you're saying there was no head knocks in the amateur era? That's nuts, says Albert. No, it's not what I'm saying. Thanks for trying to shove some words down my throat, though. What I'm saying there, before you start getting too offended, is as soon as it became the professional era, in the amateur rugby, you do get a lot of head knocks as well. I mean, you look at it on a Saturday, guys are getting knocked out all the time. But as soon as it became a professional sport, when there was starting to become money getting thrown around, that's when players start to take it a lot more seriously. And that's when you see these faster, stronger athletes that, of course, then lead to more injuries to take place. I was talking to Norm Maxwell a couple years ago, and he said about how for them back when it was before the professional era compared to professional, you'd have a pie on the weekend. And you'd just kind of chill out. You wouldn't worry about diet because at the end of the day, if you were a part of the team, you were in the team. You didn't have to worry about trying to become that much better. And of course, some of them took it more seriously than others. But as soon as you reach that professional era, that's when you start to get those guys who are quicker, faster, stronger. And, that's when the contact comes. The concussions in American football drastically increased the number, says Judah. Huge Hamish Super Rugby and sevens in the URC games this weekend. There are indeed. It's going to be, I believe, 3 matches that we are covering on the channel. Amateur rugby was a pie and a Coke. Yeah, you just show up, you play a bit of rugby, you go home, have a few beers after the match. There's going to be a free kick now to the Hurricanes, and they have decided to take this one quickly. Cam Roygaard, nicely taken inside of the 22 by Joseph Suali'i, who now finds himself slotting in that 15 role rather than Max Jorgensen, who went off for that injury. Now, that's gone right off the side of the boot for Suali'i. He did all the hard work of getting back there for the catch just to then go and smash it straight into touch on about a 20-degree angle. So now the Hurricanes, they will have themselves another line out. A few beers, more like all-nighters at our old club, says Glenn Woods. Yeah, they used to have a grand old time after games. More score, says Najakat. Hopefully soon we will get to see another try. These two sides cancelling each other out quite nicely, but now Riley Hoihepa running up to 22 metres out. Moves all the way to 10. Roygaard going short side. Duplessis Karefi. Nice quick hands. Natunani Punevai. He just gets bundled into touch there. We have got there. Is it soccer or football? Someone once got really salty when I called it soccer. The old school term is football, but soccer works too. I don't think it's one of those ones that people need to get too hurt about what people call it, as long as they know what they're referring to. And we have got there Hamish, return of the Terminator smashing out the commentary. We have got there, okay, Hamish, that makes sense, but just look at the highlights from the South African amateur era. Looks pretty hard and fast, like Danny Gerber highlights from the 80s. Yeah, there's no denying that there are also old school big hits. And you used to be able to punch blokes back in the old days. But I think that was also during a time when no one really knew the science behind HIAs or head knocks and everything along those lines. Boring game, says Nakabi. Yeah, they've just cancelled each other out. Well, haven't they? Hello from America, says Max Marshall. Welcome in, mate. Apparently it's soccer in the US, everywhere else supposed to be football. Most people in New Zealand call it soccer. I call it football because if I call it soccer, I get destroyed in the comments. So I'm pretty much just saying it because it saves arguments. I played rugby for Nuhaka. After having beers and Puff the Magic Dragon, couldn't play a second half, too wasted. Wait, so you had that at half time, Matthew. Two teams are strong, says Mr. Jack, and Rugby League would scout rugby players like crazy back in the day, says David the Mod. And I mean, you know, look at those goal kicking. I was talking to Dad about it, or he was more leading the conversation, but saying about the accuracy of kicking that went up drastically when they started signing rugby union guys into rugby league. A few of those original goal kickers. Sitting 25 metres out here, the Hurricanes still in possession with Braden Yossi. Only 3 tries have been scored, which honestly is still quite a few. Their flying tackle was coming back in the day. Says David the Mole, little grubber behind from Peter Umunga Jensen, but it's cleaned up. And the back for the Tars. Now, ball's there for Roygaard. I think they've also got themselves the advantage here, the Hurricanes. Kini Naholo has already got himself 2. Oh, he stepped around like 3 or 4 of the team. Matthew Ridge was one, says Keith Hook. Yeah, a few of those guys turned, let's say, 50% accuracy into 80, and then that was the difference between winning titles and missing out. Nuths Botha didn't miss a kick in the 80s. That's going to be the try now for the Hurricanes, and it's Asafo Aumua in his return game. Does extend the lead. Matthew Ridge was a good example of a good rugby kicker going to league, says David the Mon, and someone let Super Rugby know if they need a new commentator or a sub-in. Kiwi lads are here, says Death, although I hear Aaron Cruden is currently doing some commentary, so I'd say they've got plenty of options at the moment. I'm not sure who he's replaced, but it'll be one of them. And they're in, says Glenn Woods. And the big boy scores the try, says Matthew. Yeah, they will be very happy to have him back. Don't get me wrong, Devery's been going not terribly in the early 80s. Some of us would have a cigarette at halftime, says John. Yeah, it's just a different time. You know, you just, I guess, in a way, you do what you wanted. And, you know, it was just, in a way, it was simple. You went there for the 80 minutes and you either won or you lost, but pretty much everyone got onto the after-match rituals. Halftime is over. Okay, says Mr. Jack. Halftime is getting closer, only about 2 minutes away in South Africa. It's called soccer. But don't dare call it that in England, says Robert. Hurricanes need to hurry. Right, sounds like there is going to be another change here. That is Archie Saunders going off. Or is it? In fact, it might be Darby Lancaster. They said Archie, but I think it's Darby. Yes, it is. Don't know whether or not the commentator knows who's who. What's the game time at Kiwi Lad at the moment? It is sitting 3 minutes remaining, so 37 minutes in. Chiefs all the way to win the Super, no doubts whatsoever, says Roy Holy. Would you pick Spain or France in the World Sevens? Honestly, like after that first performance from Spain, you'd have to say it's not looking like their tournament, but then they also can cause upsets, which can cause quite a few issues in terms of the overall standings. This is going to be a great break and run here for the Hurricanes. Zaya Walker, Leo Wiri gets the pop pass up to Roygaard. He'll go through, and it's another try for the Hurricanes in quick succession, 2 in a row. New Zealand in the 80s was rugby, beer, and horse racing, glorious days. Have you ever played pickleball? I have not. I've played like tennis. I played table tennis or ping pong, depending on where you are in the world. But no, never have I played pickleball. I actually haven't ever played squash either. For a school activity, like when we used to have school activity days, I did say that I wanted to do squash. They signed me all up, and then I went to the squash court, and the person who was supposed to run it never showed up, just because they forgot. So I just sat down there for a couple hours, then went home. We would be doomed without Cam, says Neil. And that one has gone over. And that is going to make the score now 24 points to 7. So you think France takes the win? I assume you're asking because you want to bet on it, and I will say straight away 7s is unpredictable, so I really struggle to pick who's going to win. Paddle is fast-growing sport around the world. Here's Albert. And scoreline looking good now. Yeah, all of a sudden, just before this halftime break, they've got themselves in a position of a bonus point right now. I've had 2 HIAs to deal with in this contest as well. Yeah, the halftime siren's going to be kicked off long by the Waratahs, and that will be Balin Sullivan kicking it into touch. Squash is a pretty good game. You should give it a try. I tried to, but then the person didn't show up. So ever since then, I've never given squash another crack. Maybe I should give it a chance at some point. I do feel like I'd run into a wall, though. And Chow has said super garbage rugby. He got them. He got them good. I think because of that, they might end the whole competition because they'll be too embarrassed to keep going. Are there bonus points? Gold in this close competition, says Glenn Woods. And hurry up, boys. 2 tries in 2 minutes, says Ruth. All right, we will go at this. This is the way that the table sits, ladies and gentlemen. So currently the way that it is here, the Hurricanes would get themselves 5 points, which would push them up to 14 and would put them inside of the top 6. Now, the Highlanders still have a game later on up against the Brumbies. So whoever wins that game could determine quite a bit in terms of the overall standings. But there's still plenty of action to come. And 40 minutes worth. I'd say we're still going to see another maybe 4 tries if we're lucky. We have got their hurry up, Canes. And enough of the Waratahs. Thanks, HCU, again soon enough, says Robert. And we have got their thick milkshake with ice cream. And 2 tries and a penalty ahead. Don't underestimate the Tars, Canes, says Death. Yeah, they can't afford to take their foot off the gas. And I think that that's exactly the polar opposite of what they did right at the end of the half. They well and truly stepped it up. They knew 1 or 2 quick tries could actually put them in a pretty dominant position here. And halftime, sitting 24 points to 7. I think they'll be pretty happy. But the Hurricanes, in terms of what is to come off the bench, Devery, Pauri Rakety Stones, and Tavita Mafaleo. Zai Wakaleawiri did start this match. That was due to the late exclusion of Zach Gallagher and Brad Shields there. And the number 20 jersey, Geordie Phil-Ewan, alongside Fihi Finina Norfo, and Cade Banks there as the number 23 for the Waratahs. They have got Dobbins, Kailea, and Bota, alongside Kalapu and Adamson, Grant, Edmed, who has already made his way on, and same with Lalakai Foketi. So they're actually really struggling in terms of numbers at the moment. There's also going to be a chance that maybe even Jack Grant, I think he went on for right at the end of the half, Derby Lancaster. So they have no more back replacements, which could be a big concern for the Waratahs as this match goes on. We have there, no doubt Chiefs will go down the ladder, sadly. Says Not Oz, and Hamish likes mangoes, milkshake extra creamy. And they're waking up, and Chiefs on the bye this week. So they stay where they are, says Glenn Woods. Yeah, so there is a chance that we could see a couple sides creep up a little bit. Like, that's the thing. The Crusaders at the end of their game up against Moana Pacifica could actually be number 1 on the table. And that's the thing. Everyone's talked about the strength of this Chiefs side and what they've been able to do this year, which has been quite phenomenal for the early stages. But, like the Crusaders, if they win their next game, for instance, by, just in terms of points differential to make it nice and easy, 11. Right? So they move up to the same points differential. But if they get themselves the bonus point from that game, they'll actually find themselves 2 points ahead of the Chiefs. Same amount of games, but the bonus points has been what has been extremely impressive for the Crusaders this year. The Reds, they're in the same boat. You know, if they win their game up against the Western Force by a substantial margin, they too will climb up and they could overtake the Chiefs as well. Same amount of games played, I should mention too. We have got their banana milkshake thick one. How do we talk about milkshakes? So where did that come from? Because there's quite a bit of talk about them at the moment by the looks of it. Piece of caramel, my last request. And strawberry and lime. Then I may have a chocolate one with caramel. says Matthew. And our second half is not going to be an absolute mile away. In terms of what is happening in the future, ladies and gentlemen, at 8:55, so in an hour's time, I am going to be doing the matchup taking place between Fiji Sevens and Ireland Sevens. Then from there, we jump straight into the match between the Brumbies and the Highlanders. That will be the 9:35 p.m. kickoff. And then later on in the evening, I'm going to be covering the matchup between South Africa and Australia. And that is another one to look out for. Great Britain managed to beat Kenya in that group involving Great Britain, Kenya, Spain, and France. France currently leading at halftime 12 points to 7. Just for anyone who is curious about the overall standings. I've been having acai smoothies for a while now. I'm not sure what acai is. I'm going to have to look at it. Acai is a type of plant, apparently. And is it a berry? Maybe. Yeah, it looks like a berry, kind of similar to a blueberry by the looks of it, but almost like a mini plum type of thing. And we have got their lull and a long-lasting chew. We'll go this, and we will go like that as well. We'll get some stats to do with this first half before we jump into the second 40. Although the Waratahs overall had some pretty decent stats throughout that first 40 minutes. They might be a little bit disappointed to be sitting where they are with that bonus point currently against them. Possession is 59% in favour of the Tars. Meters gained has gone up to 219 for the Hurricanes. Defenders beaten 15 compared to 7, and clean breaks in their favour as well, 3-1. And then looking at the defence, we've seen 88 tackles made by the Hurricanes, and they've only missed 7 tackles. Brumbies have had, or sorry, not Brumbies, Waratahs, 63 tackles and 15. They'll be a little bit concerned at the moment. 4 tries. Naholo has got 2, Aumua has got 1, and then Roigard has also managed to get 1. It's supposed to be a superfood. It tastes all right. And game over, or a way back to business. I don't think it's game over yet. And something that makes me think that is that we've seen some tries scored by we've seen 1 try scored by the Waratahs, but the missed kicks from the Hurricanes, I think, could be a bit of a concern. Santos, surely Central America got better foods than toilets. What's your opinion on Taylor Johnson saying the current Wallabies outperforming our current All Blacks? Saying that the current Wallabies are outperforming our current All Blacks. I mean, it's down to opinion. Like, I've always said it, at least at the moment anyway. We've seen a lot of Australian derbies, and that's really shown how strong Aussie rugby looks at the moment. But we've also got a lot of informed New Zealand players, and, you know, it's a very hard one to compare because in certain positions, I do actually think Australia have got some players in better form, but then in a majority of other ones, I do think that New Zealand have currently got the stronger players. Artie carrying Moana, says Def Reaper there. They are just showing all the work that the back row are doing. That's Braden Yossi, Duplessis Karefi, and Peter Lakai. Lakai's almost been the most quiet out of the 3, which is a bit of a strange one. But then he still had plenty of touches over the ball. Did you see on Aotearoa Rugby Pod? They interviewed Rico trying to give him moral support. I did not see that, no. But I do know that he's broken his drought in terms of tries and managed to score twice in 2 weeks, which is pretty incredible for him. Moana being carried by Artie. I mean, Artie Savia is the type of guy who can go into any side and seems to make them go better. I think the Moana Pacifica, they seem to be right on the verge of doing something good, but I don't know if it's going to be just yet. But I still think that it's absolutely brilliant that they're in the competition. We'll be here, says Death. And also we've got the Sullivan doing well. He should be New Zealand 13. Yeah, like Balin Sullivan, he's been a solid guy for a while. I do think that at the moment they are looking towards someone like a like an Anton Leonard-Brown, even though he has been playing a little bit of 12, but I think off his current form, they'd probably consider giving him 13. They seem to like Rico when it comes to international level, even when he has had form struggles in the past. But I think the player that's the most unlucky at the moment is probably Billy Proctor, because he had a standout season last year and sadly just can't get minutes now because of that injury that he's got. In fact, they normally give an injury update list. So we might have a quick look at that before we get into the second half, because the injury lists are honestly insane for most of the sides. There we go, injury list. So for the Hurricanes, they currently have an injury list of 7 players. So Brett Cameron's out with a knee injury for the season. Devin Flanders is out with the ankle injury. He'll be back for round 12. TJ Clark is out with a shoulder. He'll be back round 11. Daniel Sinkinson has a hamstring injury, but he'll be back round 8, so that's actually the next round taking place. Riley Higgins, he had a hand injury. He'll be back next week. Harry Godfrey, lower leg injury, round 11, when he's going to be returning. And then the Achilles for Billy Proctor is a to be confirmed, so that's quite concerning. The Waratahs, just for anyone who is wondering, Jake Gordon out with a medial ligament. Mahi Vailanu out with a broken arm, Tristan Riley out with the shoulder, Dave Parecki out with the calf, Fergus Lee Warner out with the foot, and Lucas Ripley out with the shoulder. So that's the injury list that they have got. Very good afternoon, Hamish from Brisbane. Hope you're doing well, mate. Doing very well, James. Hopefully you are doing well too, and you're excited for this weekend of all-out rugby action. If there was a North versus South Hemisphere rugby tournament, who do you think would win? Depends a little bit on who certain sides select. Like, I know a lot of people would back the South to be able to get the job done if you're making it up of the Springboks, Pumas, New Zealand, Australia, Fiji, might even sneak 1 or 2 players in there. But yeah, it'll be a very interesting game. And hopefully we get to see it at some stage, although the closest we seem to get is the Barbarians. See, I'd love to see them do that Barbarians versus World XV again. That was something that was a bit unique that they never decided to bring back. The Lions should play France as a warm-up. Says Annoy. I think they've got... Who are they playing in their warm-up game? British and Irish Lions warm-up game. Is it Argentina that I'm trying to think of? Right, they've got the fixtures here. Yeah, they play Argentina, then they play the Western Force, then the Reds, then the Tars, then the Brumbies, then the Invitational, Australia and New Zealand, then the Wallabies, then the First Nations and Pacifica, then the Wallabies, then the Wallabies. Argentina, I think, says Hanoi. And also the final will be 43-18 in terms of the score. When is the Lions Women Tour as well? Tour set to be announced in due course. Okay. So they'll be going up against the Black Ferns, by the looks of it, in 2027. Second half of this contest just about to take place. Of course, do let me know your score predictions, ladies and gentlemen, in terms of who you think will get themselves a win. Barbarians play the Springboks this year for the first time on South African soil, says Albert. Is that July or November that takes place, Albert? Because I guess that will depend on who's available, won't it? Because it's normally made up of guys who missed out on international rugby. So hopefully it's at least a slightly close game, 62 game. Says Nusha Cat. Aussies need to come out punching. Says Ruth there. Yeah, if the Waratahs aren't able to get themselves a try within the first, I'd say, 10 minutes, they're going to be in a bit of trouble for this contest. So they just have to come out with a mindset of, we can beat these guys, we just have to absolutely go for it. So Suali'i, he's only had possession of the ball, I believe, once or twice when it comes to hanging on to it. Other than that, though, it's been a relatively quiet day for him on attack. We've got there 42 to the 14 of the Canes, says Spider Mick. And I lost Pumas, says Ruth in there as well. And yeah, Argentina, they will love the challenge going up against the British and Irish Lions. They just seem to be a side that no matter who you tell them they're playing, they go into it with a positive mindset. Well, now early subs will be made. I know for the Waratahs, they can't really make too many at all, and that is because of the fact that they've already lost their 3 backs due to other injuries. Did you know if Bafana going into the FIFA World Cup? Are still more games to play, says Blues Nate. Yeah, I'm not too sure. I haven't seen anything about them. I know that New Zealand recently did qualify. Mark Tilly opened the door on Rico's tried her out. Says Death Reaper. And yeah, he went on and got 2 weeks in a row. Try to his name. No changes here for the Hurricanes starting 15, so that tells you they're all 100%. Well, at least as close to 100 as they can be. Duplessis Karefi. Kind of expecting a try from him in the second half. I feel like he is close enough. 28th of June, says Albert. Yeah, so I'd say that Barbars team will be made up of guys who all missed out on the July International. So hopefully a decent team, but it could also be a little bit weaker than some want to see. And I think so. They beat Benin, says Ruth. Just showing there again, Joseph Suali'i. And yeah, Hamish 16 years later, says Blues Nate. I still remember getting up random hours of the night to watch that 2010 FIFA World Cup. New Zealand, I think, still, they were the only team in that comp who didn't lose a game, weren't they? Now it's going to be kicked downfield from the Waratahs, just outside of their 22. Will Brett Cameron be the next Geordie? Not 100% sure yet. I think that Cameron is a solid enough player that, you know, wherever he decides to go, I think he'll find some level of success. Some people still feel like he's maybe not quite at that next level that they'd like to see him at, but I think if you give him time, he'll keep on kind of developing. Right, they are just talking to Clark Laidlaw now, talking about whether or not he is happy with that first half. Looking at the odds at the moment, the Hurricanes are heavy favourites still, as expected. Season window opens on 5th of July. That is correct. Although, of course, by the 28th of June, you'd like to think that a lot of teams would know who they have selected, and then those guys won't be available for the Barbars, just because no team's going to release a guy 1 week before they're supposed to be playing to play the South Africans in South Africa, or any side for that matter. So that will heavily impact who's going to be selected. Currently sitting 24 points to 7 at the moment, and we have already got a scrum in the second half. Right, Clark Laidlaw pretty much saying they defended well, so the game flowed from there for them, which is a fair enough statement. They actually only missed about 7 tackles throughout that first half. Now, ball is going to be fed in by the Waratahs. Gone off to the left-hand side. They need a try and they need one soon. Joseph Suali'i puts the ball on the outside. I believe it was Archie Saunders. Now Walton goes across to Grant. Tackled hard by Peter Lakai, who tried to rip that ball out of his hands. Suali'i. Quick hands out to Lalakai for Keti. It's already some nice phases being put together here by the Tars. Joey Walton tries to step through, but Peter Lakai, they're ready to make the tackle again. Charlie Gamble. Tackled. Owen Farrell will captain the Barbars against the box, says Albert. I mean, so that pretty much tells you exactly who isn't being selected for the English. But, yeah, I think that you'll see a nice little mix of more than likely mainly Northern Hemisphere guys, I would assume, if they've gone with the Barbarians, Captain and Farrell, because normally you see a lot more of that same hemisphere, don't you? You know, when it was Australian coaches of the Barbars, we saw quite a bit of the Aussies and a couple Fijians. Quite a few Japanese players normally slot into when it's more of a Southern Hemisphere Lions too, or Southern Hemisphere Barbars. Ruben Love rolling that ball into touch, but it's actually going to be 5 metres out from the line here. The Tars with the throw. Oh, okay, they took a little while to put Grant down, but the penalty will go in the favour of the Tars because of the Hurricanes coming in too early. Now Angus Bell trying to burst his way through. Back across to the right. Karefi. Now Wellington, skip past out wide. It's going to be another try. And it is the young number 11 on debut, Archie Saunders, does help get the Tahs back into the match. Let's go. The Hurricanes don't let your guards down now, boys. Who will win the game between Kenya and England. I assume you're talking Kenya, Great Britain in the sevens. I think that Kenya were down by 7 the last time I saw it. Or they might have been down by 12. Or sorry, 5. And the verdict is 12-7 was the end score in that match. And Spain actually came back to beat France. So that is a big one there for the Spanish as they were down at half-time. Rico needs to also explode speed here. Try time. Says Rico. Let's go the Hurricanes. Said Matthew too. He's at 77% accuracy here for Tane Edmed. Not going to be the easiest kick to start him off. Right near the sideline. And he too has missed. Pretty much the same exact position as Riley Hohepa kicked the ball. So it seems to be tricking everyone. A really good pass for the Waratahs to get it out wide. Rico also. Oh no, that was about him needing his speed. Another change is being made. Amatosero goes off for Kalapu. Makes his way on. Langy Gleeson takes the ball inside of the 22 here for the Waratahs. Which means they will be able to kick this one out on the full. Rolling it back again. Oh, a little bit of a stumble there for the Tahs 9. Chasing after this one. Nicely taken by Darby Lancaster. So he has made his way back on after passing his HIA. Tane Edmed tries the cross kick. Awkward bounce, but nicely taken by Saunders. Delaney. Look for the turnover. Couldn't quite get it. Big shot again. I told you Tahs need to punch, says Ruth. Now Gleeson. So this is going to be a very similar one to the first half, it would seem, in terms of the possession stats. At the moment, the Waratahs, they did have more of it than the first half, although they have just dropped that ball and it's picked up by Caleb Delaney. Now Duplessis Karifi going across to the left-hand side. Peter Umanga Jensen trying to go over the top of Walton. Now Roygard, do you commentate the NRL or just Union? We did do a little bit of State of Origin at one point, but haven't done a huge amount of the NRL just because of all the overlaps that do happen between it and Super Rugby. Ruben Love just ends up dropping that ball. He's already had try assist twice throughout this game, as we already sit 46 minutes in. Still plenty of time for another one. Or going to be a draw, says Mr. Jack. They're just saying in that commentary box that the next try going to be very important. Which is fair enough. The Hurricanes at the moment, they are sitting 2 tries ahead, so they don't have the bonus point just for now. But if they were to get themselves one more try, would be back in their favour. Just talking about that injury list of the Tahs as well. About 6 players, I believe, we listed. How about those bunnies, eh? Says Glenn Woods. The NRL has been a really awesome comp so far. Oh, what a posh name, Darby Lancaster, says Ruth. Yeah, I can tell you one thing, though. When he talks, he doesn't sound very posh at all. He sounds like a classic Aussie. Now, sitting 43 metres out from the line. Going off to the right. They have got the penalty advantage. So once again, an attempt at the cross kick. Joey Walton gets a bit too much on it. I'll go back for the penalty. A week Barber's team for the Box first game of the year is probably a good thing just to warm up. Says Albert. Yeah, I don't think the Box will mind too much. A little bit similar to what we saw when they faced Wales last year. It set them up beautifully for their games up against the Irish. And I mean, those games were extremely close. And I do think that by having that warm-up game, it did help them find a little bit more structure before those July internationals for last year. So, yeah, I think they'll see it as a plus no matter who they face, whether it's going to be a side that is absolutely stacked or whether it's a team that more so makeshift. Now ready to throw this ball in. Nicely taken. And now Langy Gleeson. Oh, that's a big shot from Asafo Aumua. Playing like a man who hasn't just returned from an injury. Now Walton, Edmed, goes across to Lalakai for Ketty. Gamble, good hands. Tackled by the two men wearing headgear, Yossi, as well as Delaney, Taniela Tupou. Having a lot of their hands on the ball at the moment, the Tars, but they are struggling to get that next big line break. Are really going to do the darndest to win on Eden Park this winter, says Glenn. Now Rob Leota. I think that's his first carry of this match almost. Now good work again by the Hurricanes defence. They aren't allowing the Tars through, and that's going to be a loose ball picked up by Joey Walton. They lost about 15 metres in the process, and now Karefi trying to get over the ball, and the Hurricanes have managed to get the steal. Roygaard looking for the kick in behind, wanting the 50-22. Peter Umunga, Jensen, the ball just doesn't quite sit up for him. Goes across field, and Isaiah Walker Leo Wiri is there to take the catch. And Bunny's overpowered on 4 times chance. 3 losses now. Ouch. Nice pass on the outside. Balin Sullivan. Thought about offloading inwards. Hurricanes happy enough to take contact. Riley Hohepa goes off to Caleb Delaney. Well, he's going to be tough for the ABs this year. ABs might lose the Bledisloe Cup. Says Spider Mick. Now, Numia. Pick and go. Once again, driven down. Yep, it's all about Eden Park this year for the Box. Here's Albert now. Nice pop pass from Cam Roygaard. Another advantage. Right, I thought for a second there that maybe we were going to get the last warning for the Tars. Right, Riley Hohepa. It seems like they are going to be kicking this one towards the touchline. They could have taken 3, which would have put them up to 27 points to 12, but they are chasing those bonus points. Like I said, those are going to be absolutely crucial as the competition does wear on. Riley Hohepa does get it out, about 5 metres out from the line. 6 penalties against the Hurricanes, only 3 against the Tars, so I mean, pretty well disciplined throughout this one. Tavita Mafaleo, he makes his way on. That'll be for Tyrell Lomax, who's had a bit of a quieter game than maybe you would have liked. Looks like the discussions are just taking place now. Right, thrown in. Nicely taken by Braden Yossi. It's going to be no advantage as a Viet rolling maul looking good here for the Hurricanes. Only just out from the line. It's a penalty try. And that'll be a yellow card now for the Waratahs. Not Ruben dropping the ball. Says Death. And I know it's a really tough year for the ABs this year. Razor, best get things sorted, or it's going to be very messy. That one was collapsed by Joey Walton. Seemed like a certainty for them to get over the line at that point. Aumua was probably a little bit disappointed that he didn't. The try to his name. And we have their penalty try. Says Blues name. And yeah, try time says Len Woods. And yeah, I think, yeah, it's Joey Walton. He's just coming through the side to try and shut it down right in front of Damon Murphy. So if you're going to do that, you got to do it from a different angle. He's still confused about why he got. That's rubbish, is the comment from Joey Walton. Not as rubbish as that bottle that he's using. Just tried to spray it in his mouth. It all went down his front. Oh, the heck is up with the Panthers. They not looking like champions this season. Up the one, says Death. And Maisel has said hello, welcome in. If you're doing well, 27 minutes remaining in this contest. The bonus point is back in favour of the Hurricanes. No card yet, Amwell. Well, now they have got a card. And that was for Joey Walton. Kicked up high. Nicely taken by Caleb Delaney. AB should do another come up with a new haka for the World Cup, says Matthew. Now Mafaleo, like we mentioned before, he came onto the field for Lomax. Already the penalty does go the way of the Hurricanes. Who's the ref on the field? It is Damon Murphy who's in charge of this one. Hurricanes 12 under. Says John. I speak too early, says Spider Meek. And up everyone, says Drake. Now line out throw around the halfway line for the Hurricanes. Does discipline once again. Come on, guys. Says Roof. See, that's the thing. They've only given away 4 tries. Or sorry, 4 penalties in this game. They've actually conceded more tries than penalties, but nice chipping behind from Riley Hohepa. Finds some open space. It's up beautifully for Peter Umunga. Jensen needs to offload, but couldn't quite get it away. Roigard shifts it off. Riley Hohepa. He had luck and didn't do it either. 2 selfish plays from the Hurricanes, and it leads to the turnover for the Waratahs. He's going to get driven back into his in-goal area, but that is now twice in that one build-up. And honestly, it's something that I mentioned about at the end of last year. It hasn't really shown too much this season, but every once in a while, the Hurricanes players, they can get a little bit more selfish than they should be. Umunga Jensen had 3 guys that he could have gone to on the right, and then this run here from Riley Hohepa, he wanted the try himself, but he couldn't get the offload away. It did cost him the try, but it's not all over yet. There is still another chance here for the Canes to be able to score. But Umunga Jensen, of course, he wanted 1 to his name. We have got there being too much aiming with the ball, sheesh, says Glenn Woods. And like they've just said, down a man as well. So this scrum could be a very dangerous one for the Hurricanes. Ball is about to be fed in. Big push from the Tars. Too much movement. And they'll go back for it again. I know this has been beaten out in the comments. For the love of the ABs, pick the best 30, including overseas players if they're the best. CSTH. Yeah, it's one of those things that Razor has been trying to fight for, but NZ Rugby holding strong. They're saying, no, we're not doing it. And those Canes players should know that it's not about individual, it's a team player. Says Spider Meek. Yeah, it's something that I felt could hurt them last season. And in the end, I mean, their loss in the playoffs, there were a couple moments that maybe they could have scored had they passed, but yeah, certainly something that they won't want to risk. Now goes out Roigard. Goes across to Riley Hohepa right. It's a hat-trick here for Kenny Naholo if he wants it. Gets close to the try line. I think he's finished it. No, dead in goal. Suali'i puts in the big shot. Think about the 80s. If your coach as a family member, you get the bash for not passing. Says Drape. Yeah, should have been a hat-trick for Kenny Naholo. Absolutely flattens Darby Lancaster. But Lancaster did just enough to slow him down so that Suali'i could turn him over and push him out. That is incredible defence. That selfish play pass to the guy on your shoulder, says Ruth. And Hamu is te reo for selfish Hamish, says Glenn Woods. Now 24 minutes remaining. The Hurricanes, they went from having a golden opportunity to score to now blowing the opportunity. It will be a 22 dropout for the Waratahs. Looks like Caleb Delaney's off. Asafo Aumua is off. I think those are the only 2 changes that they have just made. What a run that is from Braden Yossi. He's tackled by Joseph Suali'i, who has to make another one. Riley Hohepa going across now to Peter Umunga Jensen. Grab it in behind. Chance for Naholo. Sits up. Passes on the inside to Lakai. Dragged down just short of the line again. Devery. He's going to go with a pick and go. Gives it off to Balin Sullivan. Who can finish this one? He's tried to go to one of the Canes forwards who did drop it backwards. Now Ruben Love flicks it out wide. Natunani Punivai will run it in. And it will now be the try. Over there, that's our team loss, says Keith Cook. The Hurricanes, they do score it. And that is now 36-12. Mean try. Yeah, they just, funny enough, they just kept on passing it. Kept moving it. Great run from Braden Yossi, though, to break through Charlie Gamble's tackle attempt. I'm just looking through the Canes squad. Is Brad Shields a Kieran Reid lookalike? I wouldn't say he so much as looks like Kieran Reid. Like he has his own special look, but you've probably seen him before quite a bit because he's been around for an extremely long time. Played for the Wasps in the Gallagher Premiership before they went under. But he's got that beard, and it's a little bit ginger, which I think is the difference between him and Reid. And Hurricanes looking good, running, passing footy, the Kiwi way. And he is, says Death. I'm going to have to look at another. I wouldn't say they're hugely close, but like, I don't see it, but maybe you could. So, a Lost in Space says Rape. Yeah, well, he's had to make that many other tackles. A Beard says T8. As well as the TT available for the France test. Because it's not Braden Yossi has to be picked. Says Sporting Kiwi. I'm not sure whether or not he'll be back in time, Satiti. I know that he's supposed to be out for this season anyway. So I don't know whether he'll get that chance in July just from a lack of minutes. And just saw the NRL defence out. Says the Blues, Nate. And now the score sitting 38 points to 12. Oh, Umaga Jensen taken off for Finney Anofo. Or Finney Anofo, I should say. And got them hits. Says right, line out thrown now for the Waratahs again. Getting into the last quarter of this contest. I should mention we are also going to be live in the very near future. That is for Fiji versus Ireland in the sevens. Following that game, straight away we're into matchup between the Brumbies and the Highlanders. And then after that one, we're going to be doing the matchup between Australia and South Africa. Duplessis Krefi gets the pop pass up. Oh, that's forward from Natunani Punivai. I have no idea how the ref on the near side missed that one. If you Google Kane squad, check those photos on the double search. On the first search, you'll see Kieran Reid double guaranteed. Says Roger. Oh, nice pass on the outside to Naholo. He kicks it forward. Oh, he didn't get the best pass, the best kick away for Geordie Phil Ewan, who asked for it to go forward. Not the best clearance kick from the Tars either. And now Fihi Finian Norfo starts to pump his legs. Good clean out on Duplessis Krefi. The ball's still on the side of the Canes. Now Braden Yorsay. To the left. Phil Ewan. Pick and go. Moves to 5 metres out. Now out wide. Chance here. Quick hands. Brad Shields will pop out with the ball. He's the first loose forward for the Hurricanes to actually score. And when you look at the 3 who started, it would be quite the surprise how many games today, tomorrow and Sunday. Quite a few that we are going to be covering on the channel. We have got the sevens that has taken place. We've got the URC, which we are hoping to cover quite a bit of as well. The first guy that popped up when I typed in Hurricanes squad was actually Artie Savia, ironically. But where's Brad Shields? He's got maybe the same ears as Kieran Reid a little bit. And we have got the people say I look like Michael Jones, but played like Chainsaw Laney. Says Rape. And the Crusaders had best player on his name, and his name is Richie Moonga. And Kenny got a hat trick or no? No. He ended up getting tackled in the in-goal area. Said the Canes has 2 sets of brothers, correct? So they have got, just sneaking over there. I'm trying to think, who are the brothers that they've got in the team? I'm going to look through. What do we got? I think they used to have more brothers. I think Cooper and Devon Flanders, they might be brothers. And then the Basson brothers, I believe, Vernon and Mosisi. Geordie Filion, that's an Afrikaans, or that's as Afrikaans as it gets, says Albert. I didn't even think they would get 30 points. I think Phil Ewan, he's the young guy that said he wants to play for the ABs, didn't he? Rather than the Box. I think he's eligible for both. And Hurricanes, please stop. I'll tell you for my brother, the Mighty Chiefs. Yeah, they're really cranking into the points differential at the moment. He was a great Otago man and fullback, says Rape. How many games this weekend, says Mohadeen? So, union-wise, we're doing 3 games of Super Rugby. We've got either 3 or 4 games of the URC, so that's 7, and then probably about 15 games of 7. So, if you're counting those up, we've probably got about 22, 23 matches that we're going to be covering, of different lengths, of course. The 7s take nowhere near as long as the union matches, but we're going to be covering as much as we can without, I guess, running out of vocal cord. Now, Waratahs sitting 22 metres out, Tane Edmed. Oh, that's going to be a forward pass. Okay, so they are calling those in this game. Adi Bota for the Waratahs, also South African, says Albert. Yeah, great rush defence from Riley Hohepa on Tane Edmed. Sitting currently 64 minutes through, so still 15 minutes, and they have well and truly secured their bonus point at the moment. It looks like Australian Rugby is on the way back, says Rod O'Connor. Over there, Dan, my prediction, 42-14 Canes, not far away though, says Spider-Mick. Is it just you covering, or do you swap out with George? It will just be me for all of those matches. So, yeah, the voice will take a bit of a pounding. George's birthday tomorrow, so he'll be probably busy with something else, I would think. How much you need a water tank next to you this weekend, says Matthew. Jordy Filion has to be a South African. Yeah, he's got South African roots. It was a big, or not really big, but it was slightly big in New Zealand when he was talking about where he'd like to play internationally. Waratahs are being destroyed, says David the Mod. Hurricanes have won their last 7 matches against the New South Wales Waratahs, so a pretty strong streak up against them. So I mentioned at the start of the game that there was like a 30 plus in favour of the Hurricanes, and that also doesn't seem to be a mile off. It's good to see Aussie rugby right now, says Rape. Fihi Finianofo, of course, his team, New Zealand, in the 7s will be in action very shortly. Got their game up against Uruguay. I believe they're also playing just around the corner up against the Australians. That'll be taking place during our Super Rugby stream. George will be singing on the pitch again. Do you young fellas still sing those songs? I haven't heard of it, to be honest. And happy birthday for tomorrow, George. And 5 points says Naja Cat there. Looks like another change is about to be made. Cade Banks making his way on. And that's going to be for Riley Hohepa. And Jordy Filion might be 7, but he looks nothing like one, says Albert. Is that just because of the haircut, I guess? It's quite a Kiwi and Aussie style of haircut. Now, free kick does go the way of the Waratahs. And on the piss again, I meant, says Glenn. I don't know if that's a song that's been sung. To be honest, I don't know whether I've ever heard George even sing. But is that like the 99 bottles of beer on the wall thing? That's a lot of bottles. Now, currently 13 minutes left now when we've got ourselves another scrum. Here from Norm Maxwell lately, Hamish. I have not for a little while. But we'll be due for a catch-up at some point. Sorry, man. Just going through the squad, hence many questions. Peter Umanga Jensen related to Tana Umanga. Weird surname. A combination of Māori and English. I think he's his nephew. I'll just have a very quick look, though, just to make sure. Or is that Jacob Umanga I'm thinking of? Notable relatives. Tana Umanga is his uncle. Jerry Collins is also his uncle, fun fact. So, and his cousin is Jacob Umanga. And damn, my eyes weakening. Time for a quick pot. And New Zealand weekend, I feel, says Atkins. So you're feeling like the Highlanders can get themselves the win over... Oh, no, unless you're talking about the 7s. Possibly. Of course, tough game up against the Brumbies. Just around the corner for the Landers. Kicked high from Ruben Love. Looks like he's now decided to slot into that 10 position. Kanina Holo gets a good shot on Darby Lancaster. A slip off the ball. Lions have 3 coaches from Ireland, 1 coach from Scotland, 1 from England. No coach from Wales, Paul Wales. Says Matthew. Now rolling it back. Yet again, it will be Jack Grant. Jerry Collins was a legend. Says David the Mighty certainly was a good Canes man through and through. Well challenged in the air. Grant going back across Edmed, just retreating here, chasing after the ball. It's looked very unstructured in the second half, but Lawson Creighton has not returned to the field after his HIA, which will be a bit of a concern for the Tars moving forward, at least for the next couple of weeks. Dan Butter was targeted by Australian Rugby long-term project to beef up prop stocks, says Albert. And who here has had a mullet cut, half mohawk and mullet, all the Chicky Bays with that style, says Drape. It's going to be charged down. And this ball, slides in. Balin Sullivan scores the try. Really nicely done on a ball that would have been extremely difficult to be able to regather. So he just used his momentum. Slid it in, gets the try. There's not many of the blokes in the back line at the moment who haven't scored themselves the try for the Hurricanes. Good work by Riley Hoipa tonight. He's an excellent distributor of the ball. Really good long pass and clever short pass as well. Makes critical tackles too. Well done, Riley. And Jerry Collins. That was a sin bin. He played for the Canes and not the Blues. Says TH. And we have got there about the mullet cut. George actually decided to get the slight mullet recently. So he's got the shaved out sides, like 90% of New Zealand males. Took 6 men to carry Jerry Collins, but only one wallet. That love family hail from around Nelson, Marlborough Sounds region. Notable rugby family. Balin scoring tries as well now. Hope that raises watching, says Glenn Woods. And that one's missed away to the side. I don't care. He's going to France, but the Wallabies have to select Langy Gleeson. Says Xavier Brown. Yeah, he's an outstanding talent. But then saying that, like, they've got so many strong 8s at the moment, don't they? You got Harry Wilson in that 8 jersey. You've got Charlie Cale if you're looking at a slightly younger option. Valentini could be in that 8 jersey again if needed. I mean, did they even try Leota at 8 not too long ago? Maybe? A lovely start, got the lot. And also Hurricane lovely, says Bhavani. Why would Porirua, Brad Jerry Collins play for the Blues, says Drape. Harry Wilson 6, Leeson 8. It's an idea. Any prospects from the Canes to make the AB squad this year, says Roger. I think it depends on injuries a little bit. There is quite a long injury list currently. So, like, I do think that Brayden Yossi, if he keeps playing the way that he has, he'll be in a good spot to maybe get that call up. I think they'll go Larkai again. Karifi maybe, but then that's most of your loose forwards done, isn't it? If you're taking all 3 of those blokes. Kick across field for Fihi Finianofo. Somehow get the ball in. Just have Cade Banks knock it on straight afterwards. I said no advantage, but they did a cross kick, so that normally takes away a relatively large amount of advantage. Highlanders a weak, Brumbies will destroy, says Bhavani. What's your rating between 1 to 10 for both teams playing during this game? I'll give the Hurricanes a solid about probably an 8. I feel like some would actually rank them slightly lower, but their defence has been the main talking point here, and the coach mentioned it at halftime. Their defence was what was going to set up the foundation for their attack. So, yeah, I'd give them a solid 8. The Tars, they haven't been terrible, but at the same time, you know, you can't concede 50 points and say that it's been too great of a day, but I'll give them like a 3 or a 4. I like to see the Hurricanes have a strong end game the season. I'm impressed with this Hurricanes game. They're going way better than I imagined, says Glenn, and Tars haven't been that bad. It's the injuries that have stuffed us, says Xavier. Yeah, I think we read out that list at halftime of about 6 or 7 players who are currently out. Now, a little bit of a rough scrum there, and the penalty actually does go the way of the Waratahs. The mullet had stayed back in the 1990s. Never to be seen again, says David. What's the crowd like? It's not the biggest crowd at Sky Stadium, but it's a big stadium, so it's kind of hard to tell numbers. Is Kieran going to play for Tonga or the ABs? I think Tumafalau is going to be playing for Tonga, because I think he got capped by Tonga last year, didn't he? If I am correct, I think he's got like 2 or 3 caps to his name. We'll have a quick look. Kyron Tumafalau. How many caps has he got? For the Tongans, he has 6 appearances. In fact, for them in 2023, so throughout that Rugby World Cup. It's going to be another scrum this time for the Hurricanes after unsuccessful line-out for the Tars. There's the Hurricanes for the Tartars. Like Hamish wasn't on the console, eh? Says Blues Nate. 2023 says Stone Cold. And it looks like Rassi's planned for World Cup 2027. Loose 4 trio. Cameron Honeycomb at 6. Peter Steph Toy 7. Khaleesi at number 8. Very different style for Oz Fields. Says Albert. 2 cents says he's going to wait until 2026 and play for the All Blacks. Says Glenn Woods. It'd be interesting though, because I feel like it's all well and good saying it, but then like there is a chance that he just ends up playing for Tonga again if he gets the call up. Because you're also in that position of, you know, you're risking quite a bit by waiting, aren't you? Because if you then pick up an injury or something near the time that you can sign, or New Zealand go along the lines of a Tava Nawai or Tangi Tau or any of these guys, Leroy Carter, or those wingers making their way up, you could sacrifice an international kit for Tonga for the sake of never getting an All Blacks call up. It looks like you could have spotted a mullet somewhere on your journeys, Hamish. Yeah, I don't think a mullet would have gone too well with my head shape, to be honest. I would have needed it to grow out a bit more, I'd say. Oh, it's going to be now knocked on by the Hurricanes, so it is going to be another scrum. We've had a little patch here where we've had about 3 or 4 scrums, and then a couple phases after that, another scrum, couple phases. So it's been pretty broken just in this current time. Brad Shields did score himself a try not too long ago, 75 minutes through. As you turn off your OnlyFans, Carter, then they won't turn up in your or at your door. Says Drape. Just showing there, 117 matches for Brad Shields. So he's certainly got a bunch of experience under his belt. I see that the Waratahs women's side are going to be playing up against the Brumbies. In fact, they might already be playing up against them at this current point in time. Are we over there, Hamish? Don't put yourself down, bro. We can do it for you, says TH. And you guys certainly do. At times, depending on what's happening in the match, of course. Some games we get a bit more stick than others. That's going to be a nice pass on the outside to Saunders, one of the 2 try scorers. Believe it or not, the Waratahs scored first in this game. Lawson Creighton, how long ago does that feel? Kane Edmed tackled, 4 minutes remaining now. And the penalty goes the way of the Hurricanes again. Just got here, WTF says, Tuck, yeah, much more one-sided than a lot of people were predicting. Honestly, I thought this game would be split by less than 10, I was optimistic of. But, yeah, it's just been another level from the Hurricanes today. Defensively, outstanding. Going to George Party Hammy. I'm not sure if he's having a party. I think he was going to be having pizzas at some point, but I don't know whether or not that's tomorrow or a different day. Oh, can it be a knocking on my door? No way. Don't come around here no more. I assume that is a quote from some sort of song, but I'm not sure which song that is. And when I was at high school, there was a hideous haircut called a bird's nest, says David. How nice attack and run forward from Will Tucker. A bit of a rough pass there from Isaiah Walker, Leo Wiri. Looks like the Hurricanes aren't done yet. They're going to try another one towards the try line. He's sitting 22 metres out. I should put a sign up saying, do not disturb. I'm watching Hamish, says Matthew. Phil Ewan. Going across now. Pauri Rakety Stones, bit of a rough pass there too. Bailen Sullivan tries to make his way through. Now back to the right. Quick hands. Cade Banks tackled. 2.5 minutes left now. Someone is knocking at my door. Someone is ringing the bell. Says Drape. A nice game, team. Thanks for the laugh tonight. Says Keith Cook. And of course, we are going to be back with plenty more rugby action in the near future. We have got the Fiji versus Ireland match of the sevens. And then alongside that, we are also going to be covering the Brumbies versus Highlanders And then the Blitzbox versus Australia later on in about 5 hours' time. Sky Stadium is the best stadium, let's be real, says Death. Yeah, just seeing there the penalty breakdown. 5 at the Rucken Mall against the Waratahs. Shout out to Mango Sniffers, says Meat for Money. And Balin Barging Sullivan. Did I hear you say sevens? You certainly did. Hong Kong sevens taking place at the moment. So our first live stream of the sevens that we're doing after, of course, the Super Rugby match is actually in 10 minutes' time. I'm going to be covering Fiji versus Ireland, so be sure, keep an eye out for that. And then pretty much straight after that, we're going into the matchup between the Brumbies and the Highlanders. Phil Ewan driven backwards, now passing on the outside. Kenny Naholo, this is now his chance to get the hat trick. He gets it this time. Lancaster just can't stop Naholo on that wing. I went to the British and Irish plan. They are playing in July. And Eden Park is overrated, says Death there. Kenny Naholo, he will get his hat trick. So yeah, first match is on the 21st of June, then 28th of June, and then their matches up against Australia are throughout July, and then also August. So not actually a mile away from the start of that one. And we have there, David, my cousin's had a bird nest here too. High and fluffed out, hideous, says Ruth. And Kiwi7's not playing until later. Naholo got his treble, good man. I have Kenny in my fantasy team. He hasn't really, he hasn't touched the ball that much, believe it or not, today. At the moment, Carlo Tizzano, the man who is leading the try-scoring tally with 8 for the Western Force. That is throughout, I think it's 5 or 6 games that they have played. Ruben Love does get it over. And that is going to make the score now with 8 seconds remaining. 57 points to 12. There is the full-time siren. Nolo with 3 pumping these tars. Says Matthew, man, I forgot and missed out on choosing a more. Says missed all in. He did score 1 try in this contest. He did give away a penalty though, so I don't know what that does to his fantasy rankings or anything like that. Oh, going to be knocked on by Fehi. Finian Norfolk goes into touch, and that is going to be the end of this game. One that the Waratahs certainly will want to forget. Massive game from the Hurricanes. Now, means that they do move up on the table, just currently into 6th for the Hurricanes. The Waratahs do not get any form of point from this one. Olin, who is winning Canelo versus Crawford fight, says Rape. Kenny is running in circles around the Waratahs, says Tanner too, and great start to the weekend, Hamish, so good. You do the commentary, says Glenn Wood. So we are going to be back in only 7 minutes' time, and that will be for the sevens matchup taking place between Fiji and Ireland. Then straight after that, we're into the Brumbies game, where they do go head-to-head up against the Highlanders. But thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Tars bet the Crusaders 43-40. What happened? Says Roger. It's been a little while since that one, of course, but just not the best day for the Waratahs. Just too many errors along the way. And also, the penalty count wasn't awful. A great commentary, Hamish. It's the sevens on Sky TV. It is indeed. The channel for it is Sky Sport 3 is where you can find the sevens. Nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. And I will see you all in about 5 minutes' time for some sevens.